Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Our first story is titled, Sister Stole the Love of My Life and Now She Also Wants to Steal My Heirloom Earrings. I've always been the good girl in my family, responsible, hardworking, and dependable. My sister Ari, on the other hand, has always been the wild child. She's 2 years younger than me, but you'd think she was still a teenager the way she acts sometimes. Growing up, Ari always had a habit of taking my things. It started with small stuff, borrowing my clothes without asking, using my makeup, that kind of thing. I try not to let it bother me too much. That's just what sisters do, right? But as we got older, her behavior got worse. When I was 16, I had my first serious boyfriend, Arthur. He was sweet, funny, and treated me like a princess. I was head over heels for him. Ari, being 14 at the time, was always hanging around us, trying to join in our conversations and tag along on our dates. I thought it was just because she was bored and wanted to feel grown up. One day, I came home early from school because I wasn't feeling well. As I walked into the house, I heard giggling coming from the living room. I peeked around the corner and saw Arthur and Ari sitting way too close on the couch, his arm around her shoulders. Before I could say anything, he leaned in and kissed her. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. I must have made some kind of noise because they both looked up, startled. Arthur jumped to his feet, stammering excuses, but I didn't want to hear it. I ran to my room and slammed the door. Later that night, Ari came to talk to me. She didn't even have the decency to look ashamed. "Jaden, I'm sorry you had to see that," she said, twirling a strand of hair around her finger. "But Arthur and I have feelings for each other. We didn't mean for it to happen, but, well, you can't help who you fall for, right?" I stared at her in disbelief. "He was my boyfriend, Ari. How could you do this to me?" She shrugged. "It's not like you guys were going to get married or anything. You'll get over it." And just like that, she walked out of my room, leaving me heartbroken and betrayed. Arthur and Ari dated for a few months after that. I had to see them together at school, holding hands and kissing in the hallways. It was torture. Eventually, they broke up, but the damage to my relationship with Ari was already done. As the years went by, Ari continued her pattern of taking things from me. She'd borrow money and never pay it back, use my car without asking and return it with an empty tank, even apply for jobs I'd mentioned being interested in. It was like she couldn't stand to see me have anything she didn't. Despite all this, I try to maintain a decent relationship with her. We were family after all, but I kept her at arm's length, never fully trusting her again. Fast forward to now. Our grandmother passed away last year, and in her will, she left me a pair of beautiful antique diamond earrings. They've been in our family for generations, passed down from mother to daughter. Grandma had always told me she'd leave them to me someday, saying I reminded her of herself when she was young. When the will was read, Ari threw a fit. She couldn't believe Grandma had left the earrings to me instead of her. She ranted and raved about how unfair it was, how she deserved them more because she was Grandma's favorite. Our parents tried to calm her down, but Ari stormed out of the lawyer's office. I thought that would be the end of it. I was wrong. A few weeks ago, I hosted a family dinner at my apartment. Everyone was there. Our parents, Ari, and a few cousins. After dinner, Ari asked to use my bathroom. I didn't think anything of it at the time. The next day, I went to put on the earrings for a special work event. They weren't in their usual spot in my jewelry box. I searched everywhere, growing more panicked by the minute. They were nowhere to be found. Then it hit me. Ari, she must have taken them when she was using the bathroom during the dinner. I called her immediately. "Ari, did you take Grandma's earrings?" There was a pause on the other end of the line. "What are you talking about?" she asked, her voice too innocent. "The earrings Grandma left me. They're missing, and you're the only one who was in my bedroom during the dinner last night." Are you accusing me of stealing? She gasped, sounding offended. How dare you? Maybe you just misplaced them. You've always been scatterbrained. I gritted my teeth. Ari, I know you took them. Please, just give them back. They mean a lot to me. I don't have your stupid earrings, she snapped. And even if I did, they should have been mine anyway. Grandma always liked me best. She probably left them to you by mistake. Before I could respond, she hung up on me. I was furious. Not only had she stolen something incredibly precious to me, but she had the audacity to lie about it and then claim she deserved them more than I did. I called our parents and told them what happened. They were shocked and disappointed, but urged me to give Ari the benefit of the doubt. Maybe she's right and you just misplaced them, Mom suggested gently. But I knew better. This was classic Ari behavior, and I wasn't going to let her get away with it this time. I decided to take matters into my own hands. I drove over to Ari's apartment unannounced. When she opened the door, her eyes widened in surprise. Jaden, what are you doing here? I pushed past her into the apartment. I'm here for the earrings, Ari. I know you took them, and I want them back. Now. She crossed her arms over her chest. I already told you I don't have them. You're being paranoid. I started looking around her living room, opening drawers and checking shelves. Ari followed me, protesting loudly. Hey, you can't just come in here and go through my stuff. This is illegal. I ignored her and continued my search. In her bedroom, I spotted her jewelry box on the dresser. As I reached for it, Ari lunged forward and grabbed it first. That's private, she yelled, clutching the box to her chest. If you don't have the earrings, then you won't mind me looking in there, I said, reaching for the box. We struggled for a moment and the box fell to the floor, its contents spilling everywhere. And there, among Ari's cheap costume jewelry, were Grandma's diamond earrings. I snatched them up, relief and anger washing over me in equal measure. I knew it! You did steal them! Ari's face went red. Okay, fine, I took them, but they should have been mine. Grandma loved me more, everyone knows that. She must have been going senile when she wrote that will. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Are you serious right now? Grandma was of sound mind when she wrote her will. She left the earrings to me because she wanted me to have them. You had no right to take them. I have every right, Ari shouted. I'm the pretty one, the fun one. You're just boring, responsible Jaden. Why should you get something so beautiful and valuable? Her words stung, but I stood my ground. Because Grandma chose me, Ari, and because I'm not a thief. I turned to leave, the earrings clutched tightly in my hand. Ari grabbed my arm. You can't take them. I need them more than you do. Do you know how much those are worth? I could sell them and finally move out of this dump, start the life I deserve. I jerked my arm away from her. You're unbelievable. These aren't just some trinket to be sold. They're a family heirloom, a piece of our history. The fact that you'd even think of selling them shows exactly why Grandma didn't leave them to you. Ari's eyes narrowed. If you walk out that door with those earrings, I'll call the police. I'll tell them you broke in and stole from me. I laughed bitterly. Go ahead. I'd love to explain to the cops how you stole a family heirloom from me and then tried to blackmail me when I came to get it back. She faltered, realizing her threat was empty. I took advantage of her hesitation and walked out of the apartment, ignoring her angry shouts behind me. As soon as I got home, I called our parents again. This time, I didn't hold back. I told them everything, how Ari had stolen the earrings, lied about it, and then tried to keep them even after being caught red-handed. Mom was in tears by the end of my story. I can't believe she would do something like this, she said, her voice shaky. We raised her better than that. Dad was quieter, but I could hear the disappointment in his voice. "We'll talk to her," he promised. "This behavior has to stop." Over the next few days, all hell broke loose in our family. Ari tried to spin the story, claiming I had given her the earrings and then changed my mind, but nobody believed her. Years of her selfish behavior had finally caught up with her. Our parents sat her down for a serious talk. I wasn't there, but Mom told me about it later. "We told her that her behavior was unacceptable," Mom said. "Stealing from family, lying about it, trying to sell a precious heirloom. We raised her better than that." Apparently, Ari threw a tantrum worthy of a toddler. She screamed about how unfair everything was, how she was always treated worse than me, how nobody understood her. Dad, who had always had a soft spot for Ari, finally put his foot down. "Enough," he shouted, silencing her. "You're 26 years old, Ari. It's time to grow up and take responsibility for your actions. What you did was wrong, period. There's no excuse for it." They gave her an ultimatum. She could either get therapy to work on her issues and make amends with me, or they would cut her off financially. No more paying her rent. No more bailing her out of her credit card debt. No more blank checks whenever she came crying about some emergency. Ari, predictably, didn't take it well. She stormed out of their house, yelling that she didn't need any of us. For a while, things were tense. Ari refused to speak to any of us. She bombarded me with nasty text messages, calling me every name in the book and blaming me for turning our parents against her. I blocked her number. Our extended family got wind of what happened, and suddenly Ari found herself persona non grata at family gatherings. Nobody wanted to be around someone who would steal from their own sister. Weeks turned into months, and Ari showed no signs of remorse or willingness to change. She continued to lash out at anyone who tried to reach out to her. Our parents, despite their ultimatum, found it hard to completely cut her off. They would still send her money occasionally, unable to bear the thought of their daughter struggling financially. I, on the other hand, stood firm. I refused to engage with Ari unless she showed genuine remorse and a willingness to change. This caused some tension between me and our parents, who kept hoping that Ari would come around if we just gave her more time and understanding. "She's your sister," Mom would say. "Family is forever. We can't just give up on her." But I had reached my limit. "I'm your daughter too," I reminded them, "and I'm the one who's been hurt over and over again. When do I get to say enough is enough?" As the months went by, Ari's behavior only seemed to worsen. She started posting nasty things about me and our parents on social media, twisting the story to make herself look like the victim. She claimed we had always favored me, that the earrings were rightfully hers, and that we were cruel for cutting her off. Some distant relatives and old family friends started reaching out, asking what was going on. It was embarrassing and painful to have our family drama aired so publicly. About 6 months after the earring incident, I ran into Ari at a local coffee shop. I hadn't seen her in person since that day in her apartment, and I was shocked by her appearance. She looked thin and tired, with dark circles under her eyes. For a moment, I felt a pang of concern. Despite everything, she was still my sister. But then she saw me and her face twisted into a sneer. "Well, if it isn't the golden child," she spat. "Come to gloat?" I sighed. "Ari, I'm not here to fight. I just came for coffee." She laughed bitterly. "Of course. Perfect Jaden just going about her perfect life. Must be nice to have everything handed to you on a silver platter." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. After everything she'd done, She still saw herself as the victim. Ari, nothing was handed to me. I worked hard for everything I have, and I certainly didn't steal from my family. Oh, get off your high horse, he snapped. Those earrings should have been mine. Grandma always liked me best. She was probably senile when she wrote that will. I shook my head, realizing that nothing had changed. Ari was still the same selfish, entitled person she'd always been. I'm done with this conversation, I said, turning to leave. That's right, run away, Ari called after me. That's what you're good at, running away and letting everyone else clean up your messes. I walked out of the coffee shop, my hands shaking. I had hopes somewhere deep down that time apart might have given Ari some perspective, but it was clear now that she had no intention of changing. When I got home, I called our parents and told them about the encounter. They were disappointed but not surprised. We don't know what to do anymore, Dad said, sounding tired. We've tried everything. Therapy, tough love, giving her space. Nothing seems to work. I took a deep breath. Maybe it's time to accept that this is who Ari is. She's an adult. We can't force her to change if she doesn't want to. There was a long silence on the other end of the line. Finally, my mom spoke. You might be right, Jaden, but it's so hard to give up on her. She's our daughter. I know, I said softly, but at some point we have to protect ourselves too. Over the next year, we all tried to move on with our lives. I focused on my career, even getting a promotion at work. Our parents threw themselves into volunteer work and traveling. We still heard about Ari occasionally, usually through concerned friends or relatives who had run into her or seen her posts online. From what we could gather, she was struggling. She'd lost her job and was having trouble finding a new one. She'd burned bridges with most of her friends. There were rumors of drinking problems and bad relationships. Every now and then, she'd reach out to our parents, usually when she needed money. They'd help her out despite my objections. We can't just let her end up on the streets, Mom would say. But Ari never showed any gratitude. She'd take the money and disappear again, only to resurface when she needed more help. As for me, I kept my distance. The earrings sat in my jewelry box, a bittersweet reminder of Grandma and of the sister I'd lost long before the theft. I wore them on special occasions, thinking of the family history they represented. One day, about 2 years after the earring incident, I got a call from an unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. Hello? Jaden? It was Ari's voice, but it sounded different, smaller, somehow. I steeled myself. What do you want, Ari? There was a pause, then a deep breath. I need help. I'm in trouble. Part of me wanted to hang up right then and there, but another part, the part that still remembered the little sister I used to love, made me listen. What kind of trouble? I asked cautiously. She told me a story about getting mixed up with the wrong crowd, about owing money to dangerous people. She was scared and didn't know what to do. Please, Jaden, she begged. I know I don't deserve your help, but I don't know who else to turn to. Mom and Dad won't answer my calls anymore. I closed my eyes, feeling the weight of the decision before me. Could I trust her? Was this another manipulation, or was she really in danger? In the end, I decided I couldn't risk it. If something happened to her and I had turned her away, I'd never forgive myself. Okay, I said finally. I'll help you, but this is the last time, Ari, and there will be conditions. We met at a neutral location, a public park. Ari looked even worse than she had the last time I saw her. She was jittery and kept looking over her shoulder. I listened to her full story and helped her come up with a plan to get out of her current situation safely. I lent her enough money to pay off her immediate debts, but I made it clear that this was a loan, not a gift. If you want to be a part of this family again, I told her, you need to earn back our trust. That means getting help, staying clean, and making amends for everything you've done. Ari nodded, tears in her eyes. I will, Jaden, I promise. Things will be different this time. I wanted to believe her, I really did. But as I watched her walk away, I couldn't shake the feeling that we'd been here before. In the months that followed, Ari made some efforts to change. She entered a rehab program and started seeing a therapist. She even reached out to our parents to apologize. But old habits die hard. It wasn't long before she was asking for money again, making excuses for why she couldn't get a job, blaming others for her problems. Our parents, ever hopeful, continued to support her, but I kept my distance. The trust that had been broken so many times before couldn't be repaired with a few half-hearted attempts at change. Today, Ari remains on the fringes of our family. She shows up at holidays full of promises about how she's turning her life around, but nothing ever really changes. She's still the same Ari, always taking, never giving, always the victim in her own story. As for me, I've made peace with the situation. I love my sister, but I've accepted that I can't have a healthy relationship with her. I keep her at arm's length, protecting myself while still hoping that someday, somehow, she'll find her way. The earrings sit in my jewelry box, a reminder of Grandma's love and of the painful lessons I've learned about family, trust, and the importance of standing up for myself. They're more than just beautiful jewels. They're a symbol of the strength I've found in setting boundaries and valuing myself. Sometimes the most precious things in life aren't the ones you can wear, but the wisdom you gain from weathering life's storms. And while my relationship with Ari may never be what I once hoped for, I've learned that it's okay to love someone from a distance when being close only brings pain. In the end, I'm grateful for the journey, as difficult as it's been. It's taught me about resilience, about the complexities of family love, and about the importance of self-respect. And those lessons, like Grandma's earrings, are something I'll cherish forever. Here are my thoughts about the story. I mean, we all have that one family member who's a bit extra, but Ari takes the cake, frosting, and the whole dang bakery, stealing her sister's boyfriend? That's low. But swiping Grandma's heirloom earrings? That's a whole new level of yikes. I found myself getting more and more frustrated with Ari as the story went on. It's like, come on, girl, how many chances do you need? But then I started thinking about my own family, and you know what? We've all got our Aries. Maybe not quite as extreme, but we've all got that one relative who just can't seem to get their act together. What really got me, though, was Jaden's resilience. Seriously, give this girl a medal or something. The way she kept trying to maintain a relationship with Ari, even after all the betrayals and drama. That's some superhero-level patience right there. I'm not sure I could have done the same in her shoes. And let's talk about those parents for a sec. On one hand, I get it. It's your kid. You want to help them. But at some point, you've got to wonder if they're actually helping or just enabling. It's a tough line to walk, and I don't envy them one bit. I've got to admit, when Ari called Jaden for help towards the end, I was sitting here like, don't do it, Jaden. It's a trap. But then I thought about it, and I realized I probably would have done the same thing. When it comes to family, sometimes your heart overrules your head, even when you know better. The ending of this story, though, that's where it really hit home for me. The way Jaden talks about keeping Ari at arm's length, loving her from a distance. That's some real mature stuff right there. It's not the happy ending we all want, where everyone hugs it out and everything's fine. But it's real life, And after years of the kind of attitude Jaden must have put up with for her sister, yeah, no, distance is good. I think what I'm taking away from this story is that sometimes the hardest thing to do is to set boundaries with the people we love. It's not about cutting them off completely, but about protecting yourself while still leaving the door open a crack. It's about accepting people for who they are, even if that means accepting that you can't have the relationship you want from them. And now, guys, we will move on to the second story of the video. Please like the video if you have enjoyed it so far. The story starts like this. My fiancé sold my family heirloom for quick cash. I called off the wedding. A month ago, I was happily engaged and planning my dream wedding. Now I'm single, living back with my parents and trying to pick up the pieces of my shattered life, all because of one unforgivable betrayal that showed me who my fiancé really was. I'm Piper, 28 years old. My ex-fiancé, Tanner, is 30. We've been together for 5 years and engaged for the last 6 months. I thought I knew him inside and out. I thought I could trust him with anything. Boy, was I wrong. It all started about 2 weeks ago. I was getting ready for work, rummaging through my jewelry box for a particular pair of earrings. As I searched, I realized something was missing. My grandmother's antique sapphire and diamond necklace. This necklace meant the world to me. It had been passed down through generations in my family, given to my great-great-grandmother as a wedding gift from her husband in 1920. The center stone was a flawless 3-carat sapphire surrounded by tiny diamonds in an intricate Art Deco setting. Beyond its monetary value, which was substantial, it held immense sentimental importance to me and my family. My grandmother had given it to me on her deathbed 3 years ago. Piper, she'd said, clasping my hand, I want you to have this. Wear it on your wedding day and think of me. I'd promised her I would, tears in my eyes. It was one of my most treasured possessions. At first, I tried not to panic. Maybe I just misplaced it. I tore apart our bedroom, searching every drawer and corner. No luck. With a sinking feeling in my stomach, I called Tanner at work. Hey, babe, have you seen Grandma's necklace anywhere? I can't find it in my jewelry box. There was a long pause. Too long. About that, Tanner said hesitantly. I've been meaning to talk to you. My blood ran cold. Tanner, where is my necklace? He sighed heavily. I'm so sorry, Piper. I sold it. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. You what? I'm sorry, he repeated. I knew you'd be upset, but I had no choice. Remember that guy I told you about? The one I owed money to from poker night? He was threatening to break my legs if I didn't pay up soon. I was desperate. I could barely process what I was hearing. So, you stole and sold my irreplaceable family heirloom without even talking to me? I was going to tell you, Tanner said weakly. I've been looking for a way to buy it back. I thought maybe you wouldn't notice for a while. Wouldn't notice? I screeched. It's my grandmother's necklace. How could you do this? Piper, please, he begged. I'll make it right, I promise. Just give me some time. I hung up on him, shaking with rage and shock. How could he betray me like this? And over a gambling debt of all things. I called in sick to work and spent the day crying and trying to wrap my head around what had happened. When Tanner got home that evening, I was waiting. "Piper, baby, I'm so sorry," he said as soon as he walked in. "I know I messed up, but please let me explain things. I swear you'll understand if you hear me out." "Explain what?" I snapped. "How you stole from me? Sold a priceless family heirloom? Lied to my face for who knows how long?" Tanner ran his hands through his hair. I know, I was wrong, but you have to understand. I was desperate. This guy, I owed money to him, and he's seriously bad news. He was threatening me, my family. I didn't know what else to do." "Oh, I don't know. Maybe talk to your fiancé?" I yelled. "We're supposed to be partners, Tanner. A team. Instead, you went behind my back and betrayed my trust in the worst way possible." "I was ashamed," he mumbled. "I didn't want you to know about the gambling. I thought I could handle it myself." I glared at him. "Well, congratulations. Now I know. How long has this been going on? The gambling, the debt?" Tanner wouldn't meet my eyes. A few months," he admitted. "Months?" I was stunned. "And you never said a word to me? We're supposed to be getting married in 3 months, Tanner. Were you planning to start our marriage with all these secrets and lies?" "No, I don't know," he said miserably. "I kept thinking I could fix it before the wedding, win back the money, buy back the necklace, make it all go away." I shook my head in disbelief. "And in the meantime, you had no problem watching me plan our wedding, picking out my dress, all the while knowing you'd sold the necklace I was planning to wear. The necklace my dying grandmother gave me." "I'm sorry," Tanner whispered. "I know I screwed up, but please, Piper, I love you. We can work through this. I'll do whatever it takes to make it right." I stared at the man I thought I knew, the man I'd agreed to spend my life with. Now he felt like a stranger. "No, Tanner," I said quietly. "We can't work through this. You've broken my trust completely. I don't even know who you are anymore." His eyes widened in panic. "Piper, no. Please don't do this. I made a mistake, but I love you. We can still have our happily ever after." I shook my head, tears spilling down my cheeks. "No, we can't. Not anymore. The wedding is off, Tanner. We're done." "Piper, please," he begged, reaching for me. I stepped back. "It's over, Tanner. I want you out of this apartment by tomorrow. I'll have my brother come help me pack up the rest of my things." "You can't be serious," he said desperately. "Piper, come on. This is crazy. You're throwing away 5 years over one mistake?" "One huge relationship-ending mistake," I corrected him. "You stole from me, Tanner. You lied to me for months. How can I ever trust you again?" He had no answer for that. I turned away, unable to look at him anymore. "Just go, Tanner. It's over." I heard him gathering some things and shuffling towards the door. He paused. "I really am sorry, Piper," he said softly. "I love you." Then he was gone. I sank to the floor and sobbed. The next few days passed in a blur. I moved back in with my parents temporarily. I canceled all the wedding vendors and returned my dress. I cried a lot. My friends and family rallied around me with support, outrage on my behalf at Tanner's betrayal. Not everyone was so understanding, though. Tanner's family was furious, saying I was overreacting and throwing away a good relationship over one little mistake. Even some of our mutual friends thought I should give him another chance. "Come on, Piper. The guy messed up, but he clearly feels awful," my friend, who I'd vented to, said, "Are you sure you want to throw away 5 years over this?" He said he'd make it right. I tried to make them understand. "It's not about the necklace," I explained. "I mean, that's bad enough, but it's the lying, the secrets, the complete betrayal of trust. How can I marry someone I can't trust?" Some got it, some didn't, but I knew in my heart I was making the right choice, as painful as it was. About a week after the breakup, I got a text from Tanner. "I found the necklace. I can get it back. Please, Piper, can we talk?" Part of me was tempted. I did desperately want my grandmother's necklace back, but I knew seeing Tanner would only reopen wounds that were barely starting to heal. I texted back, "That's great. I'm glad you found it. Please give it to my brother to return to me, but this doesn't change anything between us." He tried calling a few times after that, but I didn't answer. Eventually, the calls and texts stopped. I grieved for the relationship and future I thought I had, but I knew ending things was the right call. Life went on. I threw myself into work and spent time with friends and family. Slowly but surely, I started to heal and rebuild. Then, about 2 months after the breakup, I ran into Tanner's cousin at the grocery store. We'd always gotten along well, so we stopped to chat. The conversation was tilted, but I assumed it was from Tanner and I's split. Until she told me otherwise. She looked incredibly uncomfortable as she admitted it. "Piper, I feel like I need to tell you something," she said hesitantly. My stomach clenched. "What is it?" She bit her lip. "It's about Tanner and that necklace." I steeled myself. "Go on." "Well, the thing is, there was no man, no gambling debt. Tanner made all that up." I stared at her in shock. "What? But then why did he sell the necklace?" Amy sighed. "He wanted to buy a fancy new car, that Porsche he'd been talking about forever. He found a used one for sale, but he was about 10 grand short. So well, you know the rest. He wasn't lying about trying to win big and buy back your necklace later, but still." I felt like I'd been punched in the gut all over again. "Are you telling me he sold my irreplaceable family heirloom for a car?" She nodded sadly. "I'm so sorry, Piper. I only found out recently myself. I thought you deserved to know the truth." I thanked her numbly and finished my shopping in a daze. I thought I was over the shock and anger, but this revelation brought it all flooding back. He'd lied about everything, sold my precious heirloom for a flashy car. Unbelievable. That night, I allowed myself one final crying fit over Tanner and what might have been. Then I dried my tears, took a deep breath, and resolved to truly move on. The next day, I marched into a lawyer's office. "I want to sue my ex-fiancé for the value of the necklace he stole and sold," I announced. The lawyer, a kind older woman, listened to my story with growing outrage. "Oh, honey, we're absolutely going to nail this scumbag to the wall," she assured me. "What he did was blatantly illegal. We'll sue for the full value of the necklace plus punitive damages." Over the next few weeks, my new lawyer helped me build an airtight case. We had the original purchase records for the necklace showing its value. We had texts from Tanner admitting to selling it. We even had a signed affidavit from his cousin, the one that had told me the truth, testifying about his real reason for selling it. When Tanner was served with the lawsuit, he tried calling me in a panic. I let it go to voicemail. His message was a mix of anger and pleading. "Piper, what the hell? You're suing me. Baby, please, can't we work this out? I said I was sorry. I can get the necklace back, I swear. Don't do this." I deleted the message without responding. He'd made his bed. Now he could lie in it. The case never made it to court. Tanner's lawyer must have advised him he didn't have a leg to stand on because they quickly offered to settle. In the end, Tanner had to pay me $50,000, the appraised value of the necklace, plus extra for my pain and suffering. It was a bittersweet victory. The money couldn't replace my grandmother's necklace or erase the pain of Tanner's betrayal, but it felt good to have some justice and to know Tanner faced real consequences for his actions. I put most of the money aside in savings, but I did treat myself to a solo trip to Europe, something I'd always wanted to do but Tanner had never been interested in. Exploring the streets of Paris and Rome, I started to remember who I was as an individual, not just someone's girlfriend or fiancé. When I returned home, I felt renewed and ready for a fresh start. I used some of the settlement money for a down payment on a small condo of my own. As I unpacked my boxes and settled into my new space, I felt a sense of peace I hadn't experienced in months. One Saturday afternoon, a few weeks after moving in, I was at a local craft fair, browsing the stalls. A display of handmade jewelry caught my eye. The artist, a woman around my age, noticed my interest. "That's a lovely necklace," I said, admiring an intricate beaded piece. She smiled. "Thanks. I love working with beads and wire. There's something so soothing about it." We got to chatting and really hit it off. When I mentioned always being interested in jewelry making, but never trying it, her eyes lit up. "Oh, you should totally give it a try. I teach beginners classes at the community center if you're interested." On impulse, I signed up for her next class. To my surprise, I absolutely loved it. There was something so satisfying about creating beautiful pieces with my own hands. I threw myself into the hobby, watching tutorials and practicing for hours. About a month into my new passion, I had a crazy idea. I still had most of the settlement money from Tanner sitting in savings. What if I started my own jewelry business? The more I thought about it, the more excited I got. I'd always dreamed of being my own boss, but never had the courage to take the leap. Now felt like the perfect time for a fresh start. I spent the next few months learning everything I could about running a small business. I took classes, met with a financial advisor, and worked on building up inventory. Finally, 6 months after that fateful day I discovered my necklace missing, I launched my online shop selling handmade jewelry. To my delight, the business took off. My unique designs and quality craftsmanship earned rave reviews. Within a year, I was able to quit my day job and focus on jewelry full-time. I still thought about my grandmother's necklace sometimes with a pang of sadness, but I'd come to realize that the most precious heirlooms are the intangible ones. The memories, the love, the lessons passed down. Those were things Tanner could never take from me. As my business grew, so did my confidence. I started going out more, trying new things, making new friends. That's how I met Gabriel. We were both volunteering at a local animal shelter one Saturday. He was funny, kind, and refreshingly honest. We bonded over our shared love of dogs and distaste for deceit of any kind. "I've been burned before by dishonesty in relationships," I admitted on our third date. "Trust is really important to me now." Gabriel nodded, understanding. "Same here. My policy is radical honesty. Even if it's uncomfortable, I'd always rather know the truth." Slowly but surely, I let my guard down and opened my heart again. Gabriel proved himself trustworthy time and time again. He was supportive of my business, always cheering me on. Unlike Tanner, he actually listened when I talked and remembered the little details. On our 1-year anniversary, Gabriel surprised me with a gift, a delicate gold locket. "Open it," he urged with a smile. Inside was a tiny photograph of my grandmother, smiling warmly. "I know how much she meant to you," Gabriel said softly. "I thought this way you could keep her close to your heart always." Tears sprang to my eyes as I hugged him tightly. In that moment, I knew this was the man I wanted to spend my life with, someone who truly saw me, respected me, and would never betray my trust. 2 years to the day after I called off my wedding to Tanner, I married Gabriel in a small, intimate ceremony surrounded by our closest loved ones. My dad walked me down the aisle. As he placed my hand in Gabriel's, I saw tears in his eyes. "I'm so proud of you, sweetheart," he whispered. "You deserve all the happiness in the world." I wore the locket Gabriel had given me, my grandmother's smiling face close to my heart. As we exchanged vows, I felt a sense of peace and rightness. This was how it was meant to be. At the reception, I found a quiet moment to slip away and call my best friend, who was 8 months pregnant and on bed rest, so couldn't attend. "Oh, Piper, I'm so happy for you," she gushed when I filled her in. "I knew when you called off the wedding to Tanner that you were making the right choice, even though it was hard. Look how far you've come." I smiled, thinking back on the tumultuous journey of the past 2 years. "Thanks. You know, in a weird way, I'm almost grateful to Tanner for what happened. If he hadn't shown his true colors, I might have married him and been miserable. Instead, I found my true passion in jewelry making and met the love of my life. God, I dread to think about what my life would have been like if I'd actually married Tanner." "Exactly," Jessica agreed. "You turned a horrible situation into an opportunity for growth. I'm so proud of you." As I rejoined the party, I caught Gabriel's eye across the room. He beamed at me, radiating love and joy. My heart swelled with happiness. The path that led me here wasn't easy. There were moments of heartbreak, betrayal, and despair. But I came out the other side stronger than ever. I learned to trust my instincts, stand up for myself, and never settle for less than I deserved. That long ago day when I discovered my necklace missing felt like it belonged to another lifetime. The Piper of today was wiser, more confident, and deeply, truly happy. Something that, to be honest, I thought I'd never feel again after the mess with Tanner. I touched the locket around my neck, imagining my grandmother smiling down on me. She'd be proud, I knew, proud that I'd had the strength to walk away from a bad situation, proud that I'd built a life and a love I could believe in. As Gabriel and I take our first steps into married life, I send up a silent prayer of gratitude for second chances, for lessons learned, for dreams realized, and for the wisdom to know that sometimes the most precious heirlooms are the ones we create ourselves. Here are my thoughts about the story. Tanner, my guy, this dude, I swear, selling a family heirloom for a freaking car. I mean, I love a sweet ride as much as the next guy, but come on. That necklace wasn't just some random piece of jewelry. It was Piper's connection to her grandmother, a piece of her family history, and this knucklehead thought, "Yeah, I'll just pawn that for a Porsche." Unbelievable. What really gets me is how he tried to cover it up with the whole gambling debt story. Like, dude, if you're gonna lie, at least make it believable. Threatening to break your legs over a poker debt? This isn't some cheesy mobster movie from the 90s. And then, to keep up the charade for months, that takes some next-level dedication to bullshitting. But you know what? In a weird way, I'm kind of glad Tanner showed his true colors when he did. Imagine if Piper had gone through with the wedding only to find out years down the line that her husband was the kind of guy who'd steal from her and lie about it. Talk about dodging a bullet. Now let's give it up for Piper. This girl's got some serious backbone. When she found out what Tanner did, she didn't mess around. No second chances. No, let's work it out nonsense. She saw the red flag for what it was and got the hell out of Dodge. That takes guts, especially when you're so close to the wedding. And can we appreciate how she handled the aftermath? Sure, she cried and grieved. That's normal. But then she picked herself up, dusted herself off, and went after what she deserves, taking Tanner to court. That's some boss lady moves right there. Get that money and the compensation that is well deserved. But the best part of this story for me is how Piper turned this whole crappy situation into an opportunity. She took that settlement money and instead of blowing it on some revenge shopping spree, which, let's be honest, would have been totally understandable, she invested in herself. That Europe trip? Hell yeah. Sometimes you need to get away to find yourself again. And then the jewelry business? That's the kind of plot twist I live for. Piper took her pain and turned it into something beautiful. Literally. She's out here making her own family heirlooms now. Talk about a glow up. Now, let's talk about Gabriel for a second. This guy sounds like the anti-Tanner, and I am here for it. The way he gave Piper that locket with her grandmother's picture, it just goes to show that there are still good ones out there, folks. Sometimes you gotta kiss a few frogs, or in Piper's case, deal with one giant toad before you find your prince. What I really love about this story is the growth we see in Piper. She went from being this trusting, maybe a bit naive girl to a strong, independent woman who knows her worth. She learned to trust her gut, stand up for herself, and not settle for less than she deserves. And that's a lesson we could all stand to learn. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you again tomorrow.